Welcome to Broadcast, an initiative by the Composers Society of Singapore. Broadcast is an online interview series featuring conversations with Singapore composers, produced by CSS student members To Yen Yi and Rebecca Tan. Join us as we invite CSS member composers to share with us their musical journey, compositional processes and inspirations, as well as their perspectives on music. Hi, I'm Yen Yi, and in this third episode of Broadcast, we have with us the talented composer and Yangqing performer Koh Cheng Jin, who I believe is no stranger to Singapore's music scene. Cheng Jin graduated from the School of the Arts, SOTA, where she completed her IB diploma majoring in Yangqing performance, and that's also where her compositional journey started. Cheng Jin has recently graduated with a master's degree at the Juilliard School and is currently based in New York. Join me for this episode as I meet with Cheng Jin to talk about her recent works, musical inspirations, life in New York, and her musical journey thus far. I guess we all know you as like a really talented composer, and you're also a very talented Yangqing performer and violinist. But how do you get started with composing back in school, and what about it motivated you to keep composing and eventually pursue it in conservatory?
I started composing in SOTA when I was 15 to 16. It was from a group composition class taught by Dr. Kelly Tang. He was just teaching very general composition stuff, like as an introduction to us. None of us have composed before. So it was just like him asking us to write on anything we want and to maybe take a tune and just do something creative with the tune that we like. So I ended up choosing a Nokia ringtone, and then I wrote a small invention on it. Despite not having any background, I was just listening to a lot of music at that time. So maybe that helped me a lot. And then he told me that I should definitely pursue composition more seriously because of he saw that there was some potential in what I gave him. So that was what started my composition journey because of Dr. Kelly Tang. That's why he's very pivotal in my life up till now. He's always been there for me. And then because I was also a Yangqing major at SOTA, so I tried to compose at the same time while learning the Yangqing. And there were some opportunities for us at SOTA to write music. For example, I was doing IBDP at that time. There was no IBCC yet. So IBDP was the more rigorous route. So I had to juggle my time, and they also had this requirement for music majors, which was to have a composition portfolio of around 3 different works. So that was also one motivation to write. And other than that, we also had school projects like literature class projects or film class projects where we can try to compose music or record our own performances and improvise, create something. So it was very encouraging, the atmosphere, and that made me write more and more over the years. Although my first pieces were all pastiche of like the classical romantic style, it's not like my voice immediately. So I had time to develop myself a little bit. And then I decided to go forth with composition because although I really enjoy performing the Yangqing, and although that's probably the most comfortable instrument I've ever played, and I felt like I really could be myself, the Yangqing. But sometimes I can feel a little bit exhausted playing the same repertoire again and again. And although I enjoy playing them, I feel like I'm not being creative enough, and it doesn't satisfy me. It doesn't stimulate my mind as much as composition does, although it stimulates my whole body. So I then decided maybe I should try to go into composing because I felt so gratified hearing other people play my pieces. And I don't have to appear on stage myself. I felt that was very comfortable for me. Sometimes I have some very little stage anxiety, very, very tiny. It's not as bad. But when I hear other people play my pieces, I know I can trust them, and it made me very contented if they do well. So that kind of contentment and satisfaction superseded the excitement that I get from performing Yangtze and the adrenaline on stage. And since I'm more sedentary, like why not like go with composing? And hence I took the leap of faith and made that my career path from 18 years old. Yeah. Yeah.
With that, maybe we could go into the first piece, which is Tota Pulchra S.
Yes. So I can share my screen a little bit while I talk a little bit of the background and how I got to writing it. So this work was written in my third year of undergrad at Juilliard. It's for solo piano, and the name Tota Pulchra S means you're the most beautiful. I was reading up some collections of liturgical texts. At that time it was just one of the faiths, and I chanced upon this very beautiful poem. It's a Catholic prayer. I'm not a Catholic, but I really love the text of this poem. It's on the Virgin Mary and her purity and her sanctity. So it's about, you can read over here, it's how you're so beautiful and you don't have any stain of sin, and so on and so on. So this music, it's all about contrasting frivolity and human nature to sin with the more pious and religious state of mind, so which you can hear very distinctly in the music. Yeah. So before I go on further, I'm going to play a little bit now. Yeah,
it's really
that was
nice.
it. It's a very short piece, only about, I think, 5 minutes long, but I hope to express different things. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think even though it's like a short piece, but it captures so many things. There's like moments of frivolity, then there's also moments of serenity and peace. So I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, somehow it just felt a little jazzy. I'm not sure where that came from. I rarely listen to jazz, and I don't play jazz at all. But somehow it's maybe it's part of my conscious inner language. I decided to make the slow section longer than the first faster section because I wanted the audience to remember more of the sense of devotion and the sense of repent. Um, what's that word? Um, the sense of feeling repentant. Yeah. So I hope that worked somehow. Yeah.
I'm quite interested post SOTA phase. Um, how has studying in Juilliard and living abroad in New York molded you, and are there any fond memories you have over the past few years?
So Juliet really opened my eyes and my mind and my ears up to a lot of various new and interesting kinds of music. Definitely, I felt that I was very at home with the people who are just like me, who are all passionate about music. Because at SOTA, people were just worried about IB and studying, people just use music as an escape. But in Julia, in a conservatory setting, which I'm sure you understand, music became our life, and it's the only reason why we want to keep doing it's because we really love what we do. So faced with such an encouraging and stimulating environment, I felt even more inspired as a composer. So I listened to a lot more music. I attended a lot of concerts because I think as a composer, we have to get to know more people and more repertoire out there. And I just got exposed to all kinds of music that I've never known existed. In Sota, I was all about the romantic music. My music is very melodious. It always has some kind of story. It's very emotional at times. I mean, that's what I feel. So when I went to Juilliard, I listened to more fresh things that are out of my comfort zone. Like I did went to a jazz concert, and then I also went to an underground new music performances. There was one time I went to I think Chinatown, somewhere in the basement of Chinatown. I heard one of the one ensemble play Warinen, Babbitt, those kind of music that people don't really talk about these days. And Warinen himself was there also. So yeah,
Wow.
the ensemble played his Fortune. The music was great. So I remember that very fondly, and I even said hi to Warinen too before he passed away recently. And also I went a lot to New York Philharmonic concerts. And of course, New York Philharmonic they were great, and they were playing mostly also romantic music that I really love. But occasionally they also played new music that they commissioned. Certainly they're quite active in commissioning composers too. Like they played like Unsuk Chin, Brett Dean, those people. So I really love their music too. It really opened my eyes. But most importantly of all. I also loved going to operas. Met Opera is my favorite venue. I remember my first opera in Singapore when I was starting out. It was Don Giovanni by Singapore Lyric Opera. And when I went to New York, my first opera at the Met Opera House was Turandot, Puccini. So it jumped all the way from Mozart to Puccini. But I got a shock. I was like, wow, you could have the whole Chinese village on the stage. There were like horses and stuff. So they really brought in like real animals, So it made it more spectacular. And I had a great time listening. Although I was all the way up in the family circle seat, it's the cheapest. Their cheapest is like $25, which is still quite pricey, but it's so worth it for the quality of the performance, and the singers are just amazing. So I think all these colorful, vibrant experiences really influenced me as a composer. Although I would not say who and who in particular shaped this part in my music, this part is taken from who and who. I can't tell you that, but it's how I amalgamate all these different instruments, different influences, and make them into my own voice. And I have to thank my concert going experience and the whole very open and welcoming atmosphere at Juilliard that made me into who I am now. Yeah.
Maybe after this, would you like to go to the solo viola piece?
Yes, this is the score. Decided to make that viola piece part of this collection for solo instruments called Shades of 24 Hours. In it, I feature the violin solo piece that's supposed to be played by the SIVC. So I'm not going to show the score now because of copyright. And then and so this is the second piece. It's Twilight Hues. The title is obvious what it's about, and because the violin piece is on before daybreak, it's before the sun rises. So this piece is it's just right after the sun sets, right? It's twilight. Oh, by the way, the Tota Pulchra S was performed by Tengku Irfan, my very good friend. So
it's really good. Yeah, it's really amazing playing.
Yeah, he's really great. My music is known to be quite difficult. Yeah, that has never changed from my Sota days. Yeah, it has to demand like some of the best players to do it. So that can be unfortunate for me or a fortunate thing too.
Wow. Personally, I've listened to this quite a few times, and I think every time I listen to it, it's always like refreshing for me to listen to. Yeah.
Oh, you're very, very nice. Thank you so much. I haven't heard people telling me they heard my music a few times. Yeah, this piece is pretty personal to me. Yeah, because I was inspired by the sunset from my home. I live on the 13th floor in a small place in Woodlands. And, in my room, there's this small window that's right above my bed. And that window, I can only see the skies from there. Every night, I have pretty amazing views, just that small window view. So it's pretty special. And I remember when I wrote this piece, it was during twilight hours too. And the sky was pretty red and pinkish. So that really inspired me, and I really love nature. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like this is one of those pieces of yours where, if I'm not wrong, a lot of your music is based on traditions or folklore of other cultures, and this is one of those pieces where, as you mentioned, it's based on your own experience. And I think like sunset through a window of like our own room is something that is quite personal to us, and it's very individual also. So
Yeah,
thanks
I'm
for
glad
sharing.
you understand that sentiment. Yeah, it's played by Jack Stutz. He's a great player from the Ensemble Intercontemporaire. Yeah, I'm very lucky to have him play it. Thank you for hearing. Very shy now.
No, no, thank you for sharing. Maybe with the two of the three works that you wrote for Koh, as well as Legend of Badang, which are both kind of programmatic in a sense. I also enjoy that you delve into topics that are not so common, and often it's unfamiliar to you. It's meaningful because every work for you, it's kind of like a new process of discovery and learning for you, right? And for listeners, it also encourages us to find out more about the traditions or stories that you mentioned, or your music is inspired by. What motivated you to write about the traditions or practices of other cultures?
There are a couple of reasons. The most direct reason is when somebody asks you for that. For Koh music, they actually ask all of the composers involved to write music based on the three main cultures of Singapore. Yeah. So that was how I was motivated to write for that one. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about it. I decided to save the Chinese culture to the last because I know that will flow out of me like anything. So I did an Indian culture inspired piece, and then the Malay one right after that, because I know those will take me longer time to discover and to manifest within my own voice. And as for Legend of Badang, they didn't tell me to write on anything. They just say a 5-minute finale. So they want something, probably something hyped up, and that's what I guess. So they wanted to feature all of their members, and I was thinking, what kind of subject matter can I write on, so that it's fun and imaginative as well. And I didn't just want to write a fast, like dazzling piece, like abstract and all. I wanted something to connect to the Singaporean roots, so that in future it might also have another chance to be performed again, as one of their concerts, I hope. So that's very honest opinion from me. So that's why I wanted to write something that connects with the Singaporeans and the audience here. And hence the Badang is a very good subject, because I searched high and low. There has been no music on Badang yet. So if there's already music on a culture or a topic that I want to do, of course I will avoid it at all costs. Like I wanted to, for Koh music, for Malay culture, it was very hard to settle on one, because I tried to listen to a variety of Malay music, and I listened to gamelan, I listened to Peranakan even, and I couldn't really find one that speaks to me. And gamelan music, I feel like a lot of people have already done it greatly. And and although I've touched a little bit in my old piece and Kuda Kepang, but I wanted to do something different. So gamelan was out. And then maybe slow Malay songs, like Malay rhythms and all that. But Malay songs, like, this is just my own opinion. So after listening to a lot of Malay songs, like, I feel like they can be either very lively and percussive and very melodious, or they can be very melancholic. It was a bit tough to settle on one, because I don't think I could do justice like by using their cultural idioms. That I don't think I have the complete right to do it well. So I just found a topic that I really like from Malay literature and Malay legend, and I feel that maybe to write a piece based on a cultural legend would be less of a risk than writing a piece that consciously wants to use their musical idioms, because I don't want to just steal what they have, what the beautiful characteristics of their music, and then churn it out. And then don't feel too original that way. But I thought maybe if I do something more abstract, which is according to a legend, according to a myth, or like Emily Koh and Cheng Wei have done, they wrote on food actually. So that's actually very inspiring, and then I'm glad we are all writing different things of different aspects of those cultures. Yeah.
Also, I think like because of the level of accessibility of material online nowadays, is quite a blessing that we can find out more about other cultures, and like I think it's really great how you are utilizing this information to be informed and immersed in the culture of.
Yeah, although it made me realize that I'm actually not as Singaporean as I hope to be, because I feel that the ideal Singaporean should really have a good grasp of different cultural aspects, right? And I felt like the more I researched, the more I found out I don't know a lot of other cultures as a Singaporean. I feel like there's more work need to be done to know our cultures. And writing pieces on the Singaporean music, I feel that it's my responsibility that I have to face one day. You know, when I was young, it was all about writing whatever I want and trying to express however I feel. But at this age, you know, like mid 20s and going and getting older and being so far apart from my own country made me realize that I need to share my identity more to people here and to let them know the beauty of our country.
Yeah, I think it's always good to explore more of other cultures other than our own. It's also like a discovery process for us as Singaporeans as well.
Yeah, it's part of a national heritage, I guess.
With that, would you like to share your works that you've written for Koh?
Okay. Have you heard them
Yes,
before
I've heard them. Yeah.
Oh, you have heard everything. I'm just going to show two pieces from that,
Yeah,
from out of the
okay.
three. So, you know, they're such a fantastic ensemble. They grasp this music so well, and it's really a pleasure to be able to work. You know, this pandemic, it's very undesirable, but at the same time, it made me closer to Singapore because I'm starting to work more with Singaporean musicians. Yeah, I've never done that much, you know, over the years that I've been here as an undergrad and even as a master's student. I was working with Americans, like American-based people. So it's been a great blessing for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
this year has been quite busy for you as well, right?
yeah, very, very busy actually, but in the happiest kind of way. The first piece that I'm going to show is To Charm the Urban Snake. It's based on the snake charming tradition of India. You know, Singapore used to have a couple of snake charmers, you know, around the touristy areas. But right now, I think the numbers are dwindling, unfortunately, because the tradition is dying out. Yeah. And so this is just one of the photographs in the archives. Uh, yeah, it's in 1972, so very, very long ago. Oh, sorry, they lead quite well into each other.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Love the rhythmic variety here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very difficult. Really, really difficult to play. They did really well. I give them all the credit.
I heard you mentioned this was the first time you wrote for like a pure wind ensemble, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's a very nerve-wracking. I really am more of a string person, definitely. So this has been a huge milestone. Yeah, I never knew I could write 3 wind pieces, in a row. Thanks to them. Yeah.
I also thought like the video which came along with the first piece when they presented it, it was quite interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm wondering how the video came about.
So the videography and everything, concept and all that, it's all based on the designer's imagination. She's the one who designed all the album art covers. And yeah, with all the splashes of ink,
yeah.
different colors and different shapes. Yeah, she's the one who did that. And I think she's also the one who's in charge of all the videos. Yeah. So I didn't really give any input for the video. So it's all their effort.
I thought it was quite fitting as well. Like it matched the character of the piece very well.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And although she kind of got excited early on, even though the music was still chill, yeah. But that was pretty humorous to watch as well, I guess, because it's still an urban snake. So I think she's trying to bring us through all the famous famous landmarks in Singapore. And so that was very nostalgic at the same time for me. So the instrumentation, just going to talk a little bit. It's all altos with 1 euphonium.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want the 3 works to have the same instrumentation because they are so enthusiastic and they even share with us on all the possibilities that they could do on their own miscellaneous instruments. So I thought, why not just use everything they have, except 1 or 2, right? So, because I don't know when's the next time I can write for a wind ensemble like this, willingly and passionately, because, yeah. And so I decided, why not make this all triple alto piece just for fun? And I know the alto clarinet is not very common. In fact, I think the most common is the B flat clarinet and the soprano clarinet, right? The bass as well. So when Daniel Yao, the clarinetist, he demonstrated the alto clarinet, I was like, wow, this is like a combination of bass and normal clarinet. It's not as maybe resonant as a normal B flat clarinet would sound like, but I do like that kind of nasal kind of sound because it fits very well with the muted alto trombone. Yeah. And although it's not muted later on, but their sound is very similar because alto trombone also sounds quite strained, and I like that kind of strainedness because it fits my own sound imagination of the traditional Indian instrument, the pungi, which is like a instrument they use to charm the snake. Yeah, it's like a hulusi, it's like a pipe instrument, and they use circular breathing and stuff. They don't take a break one. So it's once the music starts, you play and play. So you see not a lot of break for the poor trombone player.
I also realized you not only do you make your works programmatic, but you also inject some parts of the story into the instrumental parts by giving them roles of some sort.
Yeah, I like to do that. And I like to, I just wanted to create a fun chamber experience. As a young Qing player who really loved playing with different people, I wanted to put that kind of enthusiasm and energy inside all of my chamber music. And that's why I really love writing chamber music, so that everyone can be something and they can all intermingle together. And then there's some kind of great synergy that's going on. Yeah. So just take turns having the instrument shine. And the last part, I almost laughed every time I hear him play this repeated ostinari. Sounds silly, but I quite like it because I think the snake is pretty confused at this point. Like, who am I and where am I at? And the video says that very well. Yeah. So the second piece is more emo. Okay, it's it's based on legends in the Malay folklore that I've discovered from the Sahibu Hikayat. There's an English translation of that. Yeah, I love having pictures. It makes my music better already without listening to it. So this one is not the crazy auto combination anymore. It's pretty standard. Yeah, and I wanted to create strong bassy sound with not too high register. Yeah, but I give a lot of function to the soprano saxophone. Yeah, so this bird is called the bird of the paradise. Legend says that he or it he belongs to heaven. So when you see him near the ground, you know he's probably going to die because he doesn't come down. Yeah, he's guarding heaven. Yeah, and he sits right by the throne of God. So that's the beautiful legend. And it says that even if it dies, the carcass will never rot because of how pure it is. So I really love this idea, again, of purity and stuff. Yeah, so even though I'm a sinner also, but I try to portray that melancholy in the music. Yeah, despite its majestic nature. Yeah, that's all.
I really enjoyed this sound world. It's quite different from the previous pieces that you shared.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, the bird roll does switch around, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually with the euphonium first. You know, the euphonium is the one having the pure voice. So that's where it is, no extended techniques, just a diatonic line, white keys. I try to be white key until, a little bit of, mostly white key because of its pure nature. And then it gets a little bit more crazier. That's where it gets more helpless. So, yeah. And I think this sense of melodic line, it's also from my listening of Malay music leading up to this. They have very clear rising contour and falling contour. So I wanted to take some of that feeling into it. So I decided to have the euphonium because of its fullness and its warmth as the main character. And all these sounds, from the clarinet and the soprano saxophone, they are atmospheric and they help to create the misty atmosphere. And then you are right, it got passed to various people as it goes on, like the chirping motif got passed to the clarinet, and then the trombone, and then back and forth with each other until the soprano saxophone lashes out at this part. Before that, the soprano was just like doing atmosphere, sonic effects. I'm not a very sonic composer, as much as my peers are. Like Jia Yi, they are all much stronger at creating different colors than I. So I'm just trying my best, But it's opened up a new world for me. I really do things like this, unless it's meaningful, like within the story context. I don't want to just use it for abstract sake. So I mean, that's my weakness and my strength at the same time. So I have the saxophone bursting out into a melody here, just by itself. Yeah. And then the clarinet creating the sad feeling around it. Yeah, and then they all disappear together. So it's just a very small narrative, 4 minutes only. I learned so much about writing for winds and woodwinds and brasses, just from this piece. And how rare I can get to write for euphonium. So it was a golden opportunity. Yeah.
With that, maybe we move on to the last piece, Legend of Badang.
So Legend of Badang, it's also one of my milestones works because I rarely write for orchestra nowadays. In my 4 years of Juilliard life, I have never submitted any orchestra reading, believe it or not. No orchestra reading. People would be excited, I gotta explore, I gotta make use of the resources. But for me, it's like, no. For me, the orchestra is like, it's a great tool to write the most powerful music that you can, as well as the most delicate sound that you can. It's a real test of the composer's ability to vary orchestrational effects and to find out new ways of writing out even if you have a small simple idea, but you can always color it with very interesting sounds, and that's really great. But for me, I feel that when I'm writing chamber music, I could truly think of the quality of the ideas rather than to color it with effects. Yeah, and with like sonic timbres and stuff. I'm more interested in the pictures, in getting the right ideas and having substantial quality music before I ornament it with like texture. Now some people will say, oh, well, in your process of composing, of course you will think of the orchestral sound as part of your compositional voice, right? But for me, I think of the notes first. To me, I'm a very conservative person. Like I still think that pictures are very important in a piece of music. First come pictures and then the colors maybe later on. Yeah, then that will give the pictures meaning and direction. That's why for me, I just wanted to find my own voice and to feel more settled in it. And I feel that the chamber avenue is the best way for me to do it. Yeah. So it's long story short. As I've said, it's my big milestone because I've never written for Chinese ensemble of this size. Yeah, I've written just for a little bit for schools, Chinese ensembles at schools, for ACS, Barker Road for their SYF concerts, small pieces for them, for Chinese plucked strings and stuff. But this is the first time I'm working with like 15 or 16 members strong Chinese ensemble. And people will say, well, I play the yangqing, so it should be easy, right? I grew up in this environment, but I actually play in more Western music more than Chinese music because Sota was just like, we're just isolated from everyone. We have a small chamber group, but not much CO experience. So it's tough, very, very tough for me. And I had to research a lot on the capabilities of the instruments before I write for them. So I'm very happy to have written it for Ding Yi Music Company. I think they're just the best Chinese ensemble in Singapore, the premier one in my opinion. They can just play everything.
Yeah.
I'm just so lucky to be able to compose the work for them. And thanks to Mr. Kwek Ling Kiong. Yeah. So another picture again. This is stolen, but I didn't say from where. It's from National Day Parade, I think, many years ago.
I remember this. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, great. Your memory is impeccable. Okay, so I wrote this piece, meant to be just 5 minutes long. This is the instrumentation. Let's explain a bit. My favorite Chinese instrument is the guan, followed by the sona. So not a lot of Chinese music, new Chinese music feature the guan. And the guan is this just small, very small, beautiful instrument. You pull the thing out to play, I think. And then it's so beautiful in the sound. It's so sonorous, so melancholic. Yeah, it's so amazing. So I just wanted to feature that in my piece. Yeah. Who knows, this might be the last Chinese chamber piece I ever write. Myself feature all my favorite instruments. Yeah, and then I've included the Malay darbuka and the Arab rebana. Because I asked Tingyi, do you guys have any ethnic drumming instruments like membrane instruments and pitchless lah? And they say, the only two cultural percussion that they have for this is that's like a drum head. It's the darbuka and the rebana. So although the rebana is Arab and might have less to do with the piece, with the legend of Badang, as a strong man of Singapore, like as compared to the darbuka, but I still love this flavor in the work, and I also credit to these wonderful players. So these are just some cool yangqing extended techniques that I found on my own because I just like to play with the instruments. And I find that when she bows the bridge near the end of the yangqing, she can create very interesting overtone sounds. And yeah, these are just some instructions. And if you lightly touch your fingers up and down, you get to hear that tremolo effect. It's very beautiful, very surreal too. This is the guzheng tuning. Yeah, so let us start this piece. Sorry to have blasted your ears so loud. Yeah.
What a great piece. I really like it, especially the part where like you have the rebana and the baka, that rhythmic section.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I just felt like it's timely that they are featured over here, and because this is kind of a drumming technique too in the Javanese culture. So it's called batu drumming. You know, it's there's a leader and there's a follower. The one that is the leader, it's the one with a lower voice, I think. So that's why his part is lower, and the dabruka follows the leader, and they play with accents of each other. So it's a lot of playing, you know, together. You know, when I was writing this, I was envisioning if this is a live concert, maybe the percussionists can be at the front and seated on the ground, and they will be the ones leading the entire ensemble. Then I forgot that they actually are playing vibraphones and stuff at the back. So there's only 2 people, so they have to be at the back. Yeah, but it was very fun for me too.
I guess this year has been quite busy and exciting for you. So what's in store for you in 2021? What are your upcoming plans for music?
Sure. Actually, there's only one plan for 2021. It's another commission, but this time is for a small percussion ensemble. That's the only thing I have, yeah, for 2021. You know, not a lot going on. And I feel that because now it's also a lot of academia going on for me. I'm doing a lot of applications too, like for higher education. So I have to focus more on studying. You know, I started late, and I don't think I'll make it in time. But just try my best now, and I think I hope to write whatever I want. And maybe write a Yangqing solo work for myself, a Yangqing ensemble work, or maybe a small chamber orchestra work. Then I don't have to conform to anyone. I can just write freely. It's been tough with the juggling commission work life with schoolwork and writing for whatever I want. Yeah, although it's great that some of the commissions this year, you know, it's probably the most I ever had in my short life of composing. I'm very lucky and blessed. I still think it's like for a young composer, it's always good to find your own voice first before you work in the real world of commissions. You do whatever you want now in school and be as crazy as you like. And then you learn to mold some of that better when you are working with outside people. Yeah, thank you for asking that question.
Thank you so much for just taking time to chat today.
Thank you again, and have a good week ahead.
Thank
you
you
for having me today. See you, Yan
See
Yi.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for attending this episode of Broadcast. If you enjoyed this interview, remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.